Welcome to Turning Hard Times into Good Times. I'm your host, Jay Taylor, and I'm talking to you from New York City on the 21st of September, 2021. I want to thank each of you for listening to the show, making it one of the more popular shows in the Voice America Business Channel. I also want to invite you to continue sending along whatever comments you have about this show to questionsfortaylor@gmail.com, questions number 4, taylor@gmail.com. And, of course, we do want to thank our sponsors for making this show economically viable. Sponsors for today's show: Novo Resources, El Oro Resources, Hannon Metals, Labrador Gold Corp, Lion One Metals, SK Mining Corp, and Firefox Gold. Before I introduce today's show, I would like to mention that Labrador Gold Corp has announced that it has sampled 338 grams per ton gold along strike some 3.5 kilometers from its Big Vein high-grade discovery. And while Labrador Gold's Kingsway project is a little sister to the Queensway project that is fast evolving into a world-class gold discovery, that one being by Newfound Gold. This news that we just came out today, I believe, really confirms, sort of helps to increase the confidence that this is a very major system, 3.5 kilometers away. Of course, there's lots of drilling, lots of work that has to be carried out yet before we can start to make any comparisons with Newfound's magnificent discovery next door. But it is an exciting development, and the stock has performed very well today as a result. I think it was up, it was up a little bit longer. Chen Lin's going to be with me in a few minutes. I think he's been tracking it maybe more closely than I have today, but he might have something to say about that very soon. Of course, it's really want to see where the gold price is going now. This is, of course, the driver for the junior mining shares. It's very, very dependent on the gold markets, and the gold markets have not been all that kind to the junior share sector over the last couple of months or so. But there could be some indications that that's about to change. I know Michael Oliver said last week he believes that we are about to see a shift in the asset categories. And actually, in his 360 report on the weekend, he suggested that if we can see a Tuesday close, that's a close today, above 1767, that would be the first hurdle and the first thing he'd want to see. Well, as I looked at the price of gold just a few minutes ago, it was at 1775. So it looks as though we could clear that first hurdle that Michael was talking about in his weekend missive. But what he really wants to see is gold to clear the 1825 level in October for a real serious and significant breakout to the upside. Meantime, there is evidence, I think, the S&P may be indeed facing a long overdue correction. We might get the reading on that from Chen Lin as well as Alistair McLeod later in the show. But certainly, I think it's a time to keep your eyes on the markets, and I think there could be some great opportunities in the markets if you stay awake and stay alert. So I've titled today's show, Why the Dollar's Debt Trap is Inflationary. And as I said, Alistair McLeod will be with me. Dr. Quentin Henning will join me second half of today's show to talk about, or the second segment of today's show, I should say, to talk about El Oro Resources, and Chen Lin will be with me momentarily. Including bonds and other financial issues emanating from the U.S. government, the individual states, the private sector, and the broad money supply, dollar debt totals roughly $100 trillion, to which we can add shadow banking liabilities realistically estimated at a further $30 trillion. This gives us an idea of the scale of the threat to asset values and banking posed by higher interest rates, which my guest Alistair McLeod believes are all but certain in the near future. Alistair says that the prospects of contracting financial asset values, that is, seeing them go down, seeing asset values contract, is potentially far worse than in any post-war financial crisis, because the valuation based for them starts at zero or even negative interest rates in the case of Europe and Japan. Many investors argue that the existing fiat money system, if and when it self-destructs, the dollar will be the last currency standing. But Alistair will explain why he believes the dollar is likely to be the first to fold, taking the other fiat currencies down with it. Of course, in trying to save the dollar, the Fed will almost certainly accelerate its demise and the demise of the entire dollar-centric fiat system, because it will be forced to exponentially create money out of thin air in a vain effort to overcome the underlying deflationary pressures of levels of debt the world has never seen before. And Alistair will be with me in the second half of today's show to talk about the debt trap, the dollar's debt trap, and why it's inflationary. In the second segment of today's show, as I just mentioned right after our first commercial break, Dr. Quentin Henning will update us on El Oro Resources' Isca massive silver and tin-rich project in Bolivia and why this could become one of the largest silver deposits in the world. Quentin will be with me, as I said, just right after the first commercial break, but I'm happy to tell you that Chen Lin is with me now. It's always good to have my friend Chen with me. Thanks for joining me today, Chen.
Thank you. Glad to be here, Jay.
Always good to have you. And I must first ask you about China because there's been a lot of news about China, the Evergrande real estate financial company, very, very large institution, is having some insolvency problems. What are your thoughts about that and maybe China in general right now and how it plays into the global markets?
Yeah, I've been watching that for months. I actually, months ago in August, I already sent out a note to my subscriber that I'm bearish on China, so I sold out all these economic sensitive stock again. I just don't want to get involved. And I've been watching Evergrande, whatever the name is, dropping like a rock. Last week I have a metals investment forum. At that time I put it out the chart. It was $4 Hong Kong dollar. Today, I look at it, $2 Hong Kong dollar. Okay, it's probably going to zero. And I think at the end, the Chinese government will take over because she is looking for his third term. So he will just try to shuffle it somewhere. So it will be a bank takeover. In China, this kind of bankruptcy has happened before. In general, there's a government or a big bank or another company take over, but they don't honor all the debt, right? So that they basically separated to small investors, small individual investors. You get your money back, but no interest, okay, because the default bankruptcy situation. And if you're a big investor, you get a haircut. Haircut depends on, your asset level and how much you can, you can sustain. And usually it takes a few years to sort out. I think at the end, probably the shareholder will be wiped out. So this is such a horrible situation there. The company offered like 3 choices if you follow the news. News media. Basically, they've offered the bondholder either you can rearrange, you spread out interest in a few years, or you can give your apartment in lower of the payment, empty apartment, or you can use that the down payment for any purchase of their apartment. But who knows who want to get into their apartment? The problem is even they give you a drawing of apartment, was this going to be built, right? Even if built, it's probably empty. So that's the problem. So I think the company probably in default and probably going down.
Yeah. Well, China has used these kind of construction projects to stimulate growth, but if there's no end users for the apartments, it's long term it doesn't work out so well, I guess. But
so do
absolutely.
I think long term is the problem, but short term they probably will shuffle it somewhere and just bury it before she's third term.
All right. What about gold, Chen? We see a little bit of an uptick in gold today, and as I mentioned, kind of clearing Michael Oliver's hurdle for today. Do you think there's any chance we could be seeing a turnaround for gold?
I think short term looks pretty good because we have the end of the month, our Fed meeting end of the month, and then end of quarter rebalancing next week. All these probably bullish. In the midterm, I would wait for the tapering announcement. Again, usually tapering announcement is the bottom. That's my Metals Investment Forum presentation. I put a lot of diagram there to explain why. So that's probably happening at the end of the year. That's also same time as tax loss selling. So it seems that's maybe a better buying opportunity, but it could, we could have a bounce here.
Yeah. Well, I guess some of us are hoping for it, but on the same time, if we've got cash available, buying opportunities are wonderful as well. And Chen, I can't let you go.
And then for the juniors, it's really case by case. You mentioned Labrador. I just have communication with the CEO, Roger Moss, and then he's very excited. He said this is all crap they found, and then south of that, and they think they could be another one. Yeah, it could be better, and then south of theirs, and then more towards Newfound Gold. So we'll find out when they drill this. And but it's exciting. That shows that this is a district scale. This has a lot of opportunities out there.
Yeah, I think
Labrador is up about 23% right now, so it's
today.
very nice.
You're talking today, Chen. Yes,
today,
yes.
Up 22 right now, 22, 23. Yeah, it's about that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a model very similar. I mean, the geology is almost identical, if not identical, to the Kingsway project next door that is being developed, and certainly, almost certainly, a world-class gold discovery underway there, I should say, and certainly there really is a much smaller market cap, potentially much larger upside for this stock as well.
For Newfound, yes.
Yeah, for Newfound, right? Let me just ask you, Chen, can't let you go without you commenting briefly on biotech sector, biotech stocks. Anything you'd like to say about that?
Oh yeah, biotech is really turned around. Since I calling the bottom a month ago, I already have like 2 stocks. It's no news, up 50%. So it seems to be a really tradable bottom in August, and then many biotech again was down 80-90% with no news. And then there's still a lot of stock trading at close to cash. And I'm still pounding the table on biotech. You get just so many opportunities, and people just looking at the situation. If you think of COVID, it's transitory, COVID impact to biotech is limited, then there's a lot of upside, and then there could be more MMA coming. So I'm very excited about biotech, and I'll probably have another new idea for my subscriber this week.
Yeah, well, it's very exciting. I know I follow, as much as I have time, I follow some of the biotechs that you have out there, Chen. It is exciting, so we should tell our listeners it's chenpicks.com to sign up for Chen's very exciting ideas that he passes along to his subscribers. It's Chen. What is Chen buying? What is Chen selling? Is the name of his publication, and it's chenpicks.com. Any last word? Any last comment you'd like to make, Chen?
I think market probably overblown this China's Everglades financial crisis. It could create a buying opportunity. Let Wall Street hammer this out and have a big down day yesterday, and today try to rebound, start falling back. So, but again, I think it's a short-term Chinese government probably can do something to avoid any financial disaster. But it's hard to see over long term because I'm kind of see the weakness of China over the mid and long term.
Right. Okay. Very good. We'll have to leave it go at that. Thank you very much, Chen, for being with us.